that's very exciting. We are going to jump in and we are going to do our launch party for the March calendar page. And I know lots of people are anticipating this. I'm just going to let my camera catch up with me here and make sure I've got this centered on here so you all can see it. Okay, so here is the unveiling of our March calendar page in our calendar series. I had a blast making this, although it feels so long ago now. I have already created April's page and my mind is spinning already for May. So I am just having an absolute hoot with this stuff. I hope you guys are loving it. I mean, I know you are. Shelby, I know I just saw you were on. I meant to check before I jumped on and I forgot. Do we have that January kit still? We were able to secure a few more kits for January. We had people reserve them, so they were all contacted. I thought we had one left and it was up online, but it may have disappeared already. So I don't want to misspeak, but yes, so January had sold out. February is sold out. I know March is going to sell out. I know April's going to sell out. One left. Okay, so we do have one January page. So if you missed out on January, we do have one left. So it's going to be a scramble as to who gets it. And then they are sold out. So we are increasing our numbers a little bit each month. They don't sell out right away. There's always like, you know, we have a little bit of time where people stumble across them or go back and watch the video. So we know our numbers are about right. What I cannot forecast is new people jumping in or people who are just loving the layout itself and, you know, purchasing the bundle for that and jumping in. So we really can't control how many people jump in and purchase. So if you are part of the calendar series and you want to make sure you get your kit, you want to make sure you jump on sooner rather than later. And I know life is busy and you have to be at work sometimes and other family things, so you can't get on right away. But really do try. So the kit is not available yet. After the live, we will put it up. We do have more this month than we did last month. So we're hoping that we can cover the volume. But yeah, so we do have the categories set up on our online store. If you go to twoscrapbookfriends.ca, you hit the online store button, you will see an icon right at the very top that says calendar series. You go in there and you'll see January, February, and you'll see March. So the add-ons for March are already loaded in there and ready to go. And then when this video is done, we will populate the kits and then they will be up for sale as well. Now, I want to remind you that the kits will not be available right away. They will be available for shipping and pickup on Tuesday next week. So that I think is the 11th of April. And then when you do pick your kit up or get it shipped out to you, on the bag that your bundle is in, there will be a label with a QR code on it that you can scan with your phone or iPad, and it will bring you right back to this video where we're doing the launch party. Because this is the information that you're going to want to see when you put your kit together. I'm going to give you little tips and measurements and all kinds of fun things to do with the page. So again, just a reminder, just because you order today, please don't come looking for it tomorrow because it will not be available for you to pick up yet. And we are closed on Friday for pickups. And then we're not open on Mondays usually, so that won't really affect anything. But again, Tuesday we will begin shipping / you can pick up your bundles. So just with thumbs up, those that are watching, how many of you have completed any of them? I know some people have. I've been chatting with a few people with emails and different things. Oh, people are sending out notes. Oh, go get it, go get it. Yes. So, yep. So there are people that are keeping up. Good. That's good to hear. I mean, I'm busy. Like I often look at my schedule and think, how am I ever going to find time to create a layout? But you know what? You just have to put things aside sometimes and take the time, because I'm just having a ton of fun putting these together. And yeah, I can't wait to make the next one. So anyways, I hope you guys are having fun too. So we are going to dive in, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things I finished January and February and love them. Perfect, Vicki. That's awesome. Are you liking the new format and the new techniques? I feel a huge sense of freedom when I'm able to create them, because I can do different things. It's much different than how we did things before. And I know not all techniques are for all people. So you do have the flexibility of changing them up however you like. But I'm hoping that I am challenging you a little bit to try something new. I'm a fairly conservative scrapbooker. I haven't dabbled in too much of the crazy things that you sometimes see online. But I am challenging myself a little bit to sort of go outside my comfort zone and pull in supplies that I have in my craft room and really try different things. And for me this time around, it was the use of texture paste on my pages. So again, I have watched many YouTube videos and lots of Vicki Boutin Friday Night Lives where she has created some pretty amazing things. And I just think to myself, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that. But you can. And, you know, with a few little tips along the way, we will grow together. So I'm just going to hold this page up a little closer so that you can get a better look at some of the detail that's in the background there. So behind the area where I have the title is where I've done some texture paste through a stencil. So I actually created the base of the layout, including these layered papers up at the top here, and then I added that texture paste on there. So I am going to do a little demo today and show you how I went about doing that. But before we dive into all of that, I'm going to go through and give you the cutting measurements for all of the papers. And I took a little hint from our new friend Megan. She's only done one video with us so far, but what she has done is she uses sticky notes with measurements, and I'm going to try to incorporate that into my videos when I can. It did work out quite well today for this layout, so I'm going to use that format, and hopefully that will help you when you are watching the video on replay, or if you're sitting here now watching and you want to take some notes. It just makes it a little easier. Can you guys hear the birds chirping outside? I have feeders right outside of my window in my craft room, and birds are coming and going all the time, and I just cracked the window open at the beginning of the video and I can hear them chirping like crazy, so I might have to get out for a little walk later. Anyways, okay, so we're going to dive into what is included in the bundle. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to pull it back on screen every once in a while just to show you things. But in the bundle, you are going to receive, this will come in a 12 by 12 Ziploc bag with a label on it that has a QR code that will bring you right back to this video here. Okay, so you don't have to go searching through our library of videos. It'll just bring you right back and you can watch the video over again. And at that point you can pause and rewind and do the things that you need to do when you're putting your page together. So also you will get a photo of the finished layout so that you can use that for reference. Maybe you don't need to come back and see the video. Maybe you're one of those people that can just wing it and all you need is a photo and you're off and running. So either way, that is provided in the bundle. And then you get the 12 by 12 sticker sheet from the line The Simple Life from Simple Stories, along with, oh, ignore my notes right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets of the patterned paper and a sheet of black cardstock. Okay, so that is all part of the bundle. And then there are some add-ons that we will be using, or that I used to create the layout. So again, they're optional. If you want to pull from your stash or find things that you think will work instead of that, that's entirely up to you. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run through the papers in the bundle and how they were used. So the paper called Journal Elements. So on this side, it has the journal elements. We're not using it. I didn't use anything from this side. I used the full sheet. So you're going to cut it at 12 by 12. You're going to get rid of this barcode across the top. And that is the background for your page on the right side. Okay, so you're going to just cut off that barcode, and that's going to be the base for your layout. Okay, so that's that one. And then the next one we're going to talk about is this plaid paper. And it is a double-sided paper, so there's plaid on one side and then the key pattern on the other side. So from the plaid, we are going to cut a piece that creates this area up here. Okay, so the plaid is in behind, and I know that's tricky to see. I'll just hold it up so you can kind of see. The plaid is peeking out in this area here when we've ripped this paper and torn it back, and you can see it peeking out underneath the floral at the top. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece that measures 12 inches this way and 7 3/4 this way. Now, before you dive in and cut, you want to be aware that you want to watch the direction, and it's not so much the direction on this side of the paper that is the problem. It's the paper or the direction on this side of the paper. The reason is, if you are doing the calendar portion of the layout, we use this key paper across the top here. And it's not the end of the world if your keys run the other direction, but we have them running this way. So you just want to be mindful before you cut that the paper is going the right way for you. Okay, so once you get your paper that is 12 inches this way, 7 3/4 this way, you're actually going to tear it on a diagonal kind of up to the top. Okay, so if we revisit the layout here, you can see that the plaid starts down here. Okay, and you tear it on an angle all the way up through here to this. Sorry, ladies, my phone just rang. I hung up on them. Can I just get thumbs up that I have sound? I could turn the sound on my iPad and then I would know. Can you hear me? Oh, you do. Okay, excellent. Sorry about that. Okay, so you're going to be tearing your paper on a diagonal up to here. So what I did was I wrote down here that you want to tear up to a width, so at the top here, so from here up to here, and you want to finish so that this is about 3.5 to 3 3/4 inches down from the top. Okay, and the paper is flush right along the top. Now, when you are tearing your cardstock, I pulled out some scraps here. So these are kind of leftover pieces that I had when I was creating my layout. You will notice that there is a right and a wrong side to the tearing. Now, when I say right and wrong, meaning if you want your layout to look like mine does, you want to make sure you tear it the right direction. And mine has the white core exposed on the front. Now, if you end up tearing it the other way, it's not a big deal. It just means that the white core won't be exposed. So I just want you to be aware of that. So when you are tearing, pretend that I'm starting in the bottom corner here. And what you want to do is the piece you're tearing off, you want to tear like up. So you can see that that's exposing that white core as I tear. Okay. Now I kind of do a guided tear. Yours isn't going to turn out exactly like mine. What I would probably do is you're tearing off about 1/4 inch or so. If you tear off a little bit more, it's not the end of the world. It just means this will be up just a wee bit higher. And you want to tear off about 1/4 inch all the way up, and you want to finish at about, what did I say? 3.5 to 3 3/4 inches. So what I would do is probably put like a pencil mark or something where you kind of want to finish, and then you're going to sort of guide your tear up and along and kind of finish in that area. Now, if you find that you're going along and all of a sudden you're going, whoa, that's a bit too high, just level it out a little bit and kind of aim for that pencil mark, okay? Or if you're going along and you're too low, you know, kind of then move your tear up, and you can always rip a little bit more out of here if you need to. So it's a very easy thing to do. If you're nervous about it, find a scrap piece of paper, cut it to the right size, practice tearing it, and you can maybe even lay that over top of your plaid piece and use that as a guide, okay? I just winged it, but you know, everybody's comfort level is different. All right, so that's what you're gonna be doing with the plaid. And then on the key side of the paper, you want cut a piece, I'll just flip this off and put it over here. So now, like, most of this top part's gonna be gone, you're gonna be cutting from down here. You're gonna cut a piece that is 10 inches this way and 2 inches this way. And that is going to go on the top part of this calendar portion. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about the calendar part in a few minutes. I'm just gonna get through the measurements. So that's it for that paper. Pretty straightforward, right? Do we like the sticky notes? Okay, and then we've got this beautiful floral paper. And again, we're using both sides of this. The floral part, there's not too much of a directional worry, but we are using a piece from this side, and you will want your words going the correct way. So when we get to that part, just be mindful. Again, the floral piece, you're going to be cutting a very similar piece that's going to layer over top of your plaid for the top part of this layout. So the measurement that you're going for is 12 inches this way and 7.5 this way. And then you're going to do that same thing where you tear. Now what you want is your tear to be up about, I'll say, 1/2 inch or so from the plaid, okay? So you can tear them exactly the same, and then you can go back and kind of tear out the pieces that you need from the floral. Either way is fine. And then you're going to notice that what we do with that top layer is we actually rip it up the center, and then we fold back a couple of the pieces to create this area here. And that's where that plaid will really show through. So that's what you want to do. But when you do that, make sure that the pattern on the other side, this piece here, you're going to be cutting off the bottom, and you want to go 12 inches this way and 2 inches this way. So in other words, you don't want to start out with your paper this way and end up with your words run in the wrong direction, okay? So just be mindful of that, and that the word piece will end up going along the bottom of your page there, just behind those photos. Okay? So that is how that paper works. And again, same concept with the tearing. You want to make sure when you're tearing that paper that you are exposing that white core, and it's going to be facing up, okay? So the piece that you're leaving behind, you want to have that, that white core that shows. So that's the only tricky part about tearing it. And then from this plaid paper, this is actually used for photo mats. Okay, so if you take a close look, I'll just pull this one up here. I've got a couple of layers of paper there. One of them is the photo. One of them is black cardstock, and then the very back piece is that plaid. And then same thing with the photos along the bottom here. There's those, the photo, the black, and then the plaid. I've also used the plaid in behind the family letters. I don't know if you can really pick it up on the camera, but that's the black plaid paper as well. So nothing on the calendar portion for that one. What you're going to do is from the plaid side, you're going to cut one piece that is 4 by 6. So that will be for your main photo. And then 3 pieces that are 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then 6 pieces that are 1 inch. So they're 1 inch this way. And then they're about 1 1/4 down. It's not quite 1 1/4. So what I want you to do is really make sure you look at your sticker and make sure that you center it, if you do go the full 1/4, so that it's even from top to bottom. It's just slightly less than 1 1/4. So just kind of be mindful of that. So that is everything the plaid is going to be used for. And then from the butterfly side, whatever scraps you have left, I only cut one butterfly out of it, and it is put right here. So you should have lots left over to pick out a butterfly to cut out if you want to do that. And that is it for that paper. And then the black cardstock is just for photo mats. And you're going to cut one that is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, 3 that are 3 inches by 3 inches. And then I did use a die, and I cut out a few miscellaneous hearts out of black cardstock as well. So we'll talk about the die in a minute. So if you want to embellish that way, then I use some black cardstock for that too. Now, what did Lori say? Lori said, love, love, love this layout. Oh, me too. I had so much fun creating it. It was tons and tons. What is that? Silly question. Are the flowers beige, gray, or purple? Okay, so which okay, what are the flowers, beige, gray, or purple? The flowers. Okay, so they are sort of a light tan, I'll say beige. And then these ones here are sort of a grayish color, and the leaves are, they do have, the gray has a bluish hue to them, but I would say it's more gray. But then you can see in some of these stickers, there's definitely a blue tinge to them. So you're not colorblind. It's really hard when you're looking at it on a screen. Like, so your phone and your iPad and your computer will probably give you all different looks when you see it. I've invested in some new lights, and I think that's really helping with showing pretty true colors. Like if I look on my iPad in front of me, it's pretty true to what I'm seeing in front of me. But I know that does vary for everybody with their monitors and screens. So not a silly question at all. And thank you for jumping in there, Shelby, and trying to help out with that. Okay, so let's talk about the add-ons that are featured on the layout, and then I will do my demos at the end. So first of all, let's talk about the calendar part. So this paper over here is a 12 by 12 sheet of blank calendar paper. So that is in the add-on section. If you want to feature this spread in your albums as a calendar, then you will need to purchase one of these. And I have put together my album now because I have my January and February pages at home. I'm just gonna move this out of the way. I've started it. So in a 12 by 12 album, and this can be tricky to get it all on screen, but you will see that I have placed in my page protectors my January page. Okay, so this was included in the bundle, but this background page here is not. So that is an add-on piece, and here's my February page. So at the end of the year, I'm going to have 12 pages in my album. And then if I do any scrapbooking about January, if I want to do other layouts, I can put them in between. But this is how I am approaching the whole calendar page idea. Now, there are people out there that want nothing to do with the calendar at all. They don't want that at all, and they're really just after this portion of the class or bundle or layout or however you want to look at it. And this will just go in their album the way that it is as a single page layout, and that's totally fine. And then there were people that have been following us for years, and they were actually creating a 12 by 12 calendar that they will either hang in their own homes or they will give it as a gift. For years, my daughter has given us a calendar for our kitchen, and it features pictures of our grandchildren. And this past year, I didn't get one at all. So I have the year before's calendar, and it's stuck on December. So I don't know. I think maybe I'm going to have to start making my own. But I love the idea of putting it in an album. And so if you are a person who wants to actually make a physical calendar, we sell blank 12 by 12 calendars in our store. And I remembered this month to bring one home. And so what you would do, and this is the actual calendar that we have. So this is what the bottom of it looks like. I'm trying to get this on screen here. Now you'll notice that the top of this calendar is different than this page here that I've used on my layout. So you're going to have to adjust how you do the top part here based on, you know, what we've got going on here, because this won't fit in that part there, but I'm sure you can work around that. But then this layout, this finished layout, will go on the top portion of the calendar up here, okay? And then the bottom portion, aside from that part that says March, you can create these elements here and put them right onto your calendar here. And then that will go up on your wall, or, you know, give as a gift or whatever you want to do. So there's many ways to approach this whole calendar thing. Like I said, I'm not doing a physical calendar to put on the wall. I am more interested in getting it into an album. So that's the approach. And that's kind of how my brain was working. And it really started out with the ones that Amanda was giving me. There was no way I was going to throw them out at the end of the year. And rather than just keeping these calendars, I decided I would cut out the top parts of the page and put them into albums, which I have several of them done. And that's kind of what got my head going with this whole calendar thing. So anyways, so this part here is an add-on, this page here. So you'll want to look for that if you want to do that, along with the die cut letters that say March. So there's a little package that you can buy that will have your letters already die cut out, and they'll look just like ours. Okay, so those are two things. The dates that you see on the calendar portion, those are done with a stamp set. And I'm using the Simple Stories Life Captured Days stamp. And I love, love, love this set. I have done planner for years, and in that I used the Lawn Fawn Plan On It calendar, and we finally were able to get these back in stock. And I was using the little numbers at the bottom here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. They're just numbers in a circle, and you can just stamp those on as well. And I love them, but I was looking for something a little bit different. So I snagged this set here. And what I love about this set is that you can kind of coordinate it each month with the colors that you're working with. And you'll notice my numbers have that little shadow in behind, and then the number is stamped on top. So I don't know if I've actually demoed that yet. So I'm gonna just quickly show you how this works. So this month I used Catherine Pooler Sandcastle ink for the background circle, and then I just use the VersaFine Onyx Black ink pad for the black, and I love this for stamping sentiments and stuff, so it's perfect for the calendar. Now, Shelby, I don't know if you're still on, but I know we did order, or I did order, the cubes in this size. Did they come in? I forgot to check. I don't have a cube for this this particular ink pad, but I'm going to invest in one because these are such tiny little stamps. It's just nice sometimes to use an ink cube rather than a full-size ink pad when you're working with something small. So I know that I had ordered them. I'm just not sure if they're unpacked yet or if they've arrived, but I love that. So I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper right here, and I'm just going to grab an acrylic block. Now, I know we got our Lawn Fawn order because I talked about acrylic blocks in a previous, might have been the January launch party. I like to use a small acrylic block when I'm stamping my numbers onto my calendar page. And the Lawn Fawn one, they have the smallest one. I think it's 1 3/4 inch round. And this one would be comparable to the one that comes in the Hero Arts pack. Now, Hero Arts I'm picking up tomorrow, so they won't be in stock yet, but we do have this becoming available again very soon. So keep your eye out for that. But either size is great. And then all you do is you just grab this little shadow stamp, and you can decide how it's not a perfect circle, so you can decide how you want to stamp it onto your layout. But you just dab it into your ink pad, and then you just press down, and I kind of let it sit there for a minute just so that the ink can absorb into the paper. And sometimes when it first goes on, it might look a little bit blotchy, but as the ink dries and smooths out, it will fill in. Okay, so that is the shadow part. And then you just choose your number. And you'll notice that on my page, I don't stamp every square. Some of the squares have photos in them. I don't bother putting stamps on those. I just sort of fill in the blank ones based on the calendar and just go from there. You'll also notice, and I don't know if I did this in February or not, but sometimes my photos can't be cropped down into the square without cutting off stuff. So I have actually left some of them a little bit bigger because I didn't want to chop off all of Kevin on here. I wanted both of them in the photo. And in this one here, I couldn't get us all into a tiny square. So I wanted us all to be in the photo. So I took up 2 squares. And sometimes I take up like 2.5 squares. You'll see that in April. You're not confined just to the box. So just allow yourself to think outside the box. So that you can arrange your photos the way that you want. Yes, there is you. I think you're in April as well. I love it when I go through my photos and I see pictures of my friends and things too. Like it's so fun to go back and sort of look at your month. These photos were from last year. And this particular photo here, we're sitting at McDonald's having Happy Meals with my 2 grandsons. And I vividly remember this day because it was just after COVID and things were starting to open up, and you could actually go into a restaurant and eat. Like we'd only done drive-through for like 2 years. We used to meet them, like when it was really bad, we used to meet them in the parking lot and we would buy them dinner and they would sit in their car and we would sit in our car and we would roll the windows down so that we could see the kids and still have dinner together. Like McDonald's is kind of our thing. Owen was born early and we stayed at Ronald McDonald House. So we're big supporters of McHappy Day and all that sort of stuff. It's just kind of our thing that we do with our grandkids. And I know it's unhealthy and it's probably, whatever, but I just love doing it. And so I vividly remember Owen saying to me when we were going to go inside, he goes, "We're going to go inside and eat like at the table." And I said, yep. So we went in and we ordered, we sat down and Owen said, "I remember being here before." And I just thought, oh my God, like it's just such a crazy thing. So that's why these calendars are so great, because these pictures that you post are just little bullets of little bullet points of things that have happened in your life. And as soon as you see the photos, all those memories start coming back. So even if you don't do a lot of journaling and stuff, it's really cool to sort of see all these things take place. So anyways, yeah, so you don't have to stay in the box with your photos. You can definitely take your photos outside of that and still have it look good. I got all distracted there talking about my McDonald's story. So we've got our blob of color, and then you're just going to go in and right over top, you're just going to stamp your number. And it ends up like this. And I just love this set for that. It just sort of adds a little bit of pizzazz to your numbers, and it's a ton of fun to do. So if you haven't checked this stamp set out, you will want to do that, I think, because it's just a little extra fun that you can add to your layout. And I'm just going to tuck this back in here so I don't lose it. And like I said, I use the Sandcastle ink. So anything that coordinates with your line, I was kind of going into something that would match the sort of tan color that is in those flowers. So whatever works, but that's what we used. And that's how the stamp set works. And like I said, if you are looking for another option, the Plan On It calendar is also available, because we got our Lawn Fawn order in. So that is something that you can look at as well. All right. The other thing that we are using this month, and I said I would demo it, these are probably the big things, is the Gina K Texture Paste and the Salvaged Brick Stencil from Honeybee. This is probably the most amazing brick stencil I've ever used. I'll demo that shortly. And then a palette knife of some kind to spread the paste. And a sanding block is another thing that I recommend if you would like to sand your paper or your photos. So I'm going to zoom in on this photo here. You will see that not only have I sanded the edges of my photo, I've also sanded the edges of the black cardstock and the patterned paper. And it just gives that, it exposes that white core, and it kind of defines them a little bit and almost makes it look like another layer. So I like to do that a lot. It is an extra step, and I do use a sanding block when I do that. So that is another thing that's in the add-on section. So in black embroidery floss. Oh, Kim, you definitely need it. So the black embroidery floss is not used for stitching in this case. It is actually tucked in behind that sticker. And that is just one strand. And I just crumpled it up into a ball and stuffed it in there. And it just adds a little bit of texture and interest to the title. I really like it. I think it's cool. But so that's kind of where the black floss comes in. The other thing is black paint or black ink. Now, our friend Megan we've started bringing this in because she is a big person who likes to splatter, and this is what she uses. It does come in a set, and it is black, white, gold, and silver ink that is used for splattering. Or you can use a black acrylic paint. You can splatter with ink as well. I find I don't have as much success with ink than I do with an acrylic paint or an ink like this. So you'll notice on my title area, there is some black splattering in there. And you obviously can leave it off if you don't want to, but each one of these little details that you add all sums up to a really great page. So again, if it's things that you don't normally do, I'm sort of challenging you to try different things and experience what they're like. And then the other ink that I used is from Catherine Pooler, and it is called Twilight. And that is what I used when I ink blended over top of the texture paste to give it a little bit more depth. Okay, so that is all of the add-ons that are in the shopping section of the March category. Okay, so I think we covered all of those. So the big thing I'm going to demo is the texture paste. I'm not going to do it right on a layout. I don't have any extra of this paper. We've put all of it into kits. So I've just got a scrap of paper that I'm going to demo the stenciling and the ink blending so that you can see how it works and the type of look that you are going to want to achieve. Now, I also did some texture paste on the calendar portion of the layout as well. You can see that I created a section here and a section here, and those are where I put my little scenes. And I absolutely love how it turned out. It's subtle, but obvious at the same time. And it is just so much fun to create. So sometimes it's not all about how it looks. It's about the experience that you have when you're doing it too. I have to say, like, and I mean, I don't want to say that there's ugly things out there, but like sometimes I will see or be participating in something that I don't really care for when I look at it. But when I start to create it and I go through that process of creating it, I fall in love with the end result. So it is a journey, and it should always be something that you are enjoying doing. I think it's just as important as the finished product and the photos that you're adding to your pages. Like, it all kind of goes together. And I think that's why I actually love this hobby so much, is because you just get to experience so many great things. Okay, so what I've done is I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock, which I just stamped on. That was my sample. Okay, so here's a piece of cardstock. This is 80-pound cardstock, so it would be very similar weight to the papers in your bundle and the calendar paper. Okay, so nothing fancy. It's not like special mixed media paper or anything like that. You may get a little bit of warping on your paper. I know that mine is a little bit warped here. But when I get this into my page protector and the weight of that album starts to push down on this, that is going to flatten out. I'm not worried about it at all. So if you get a little bit of warping, don't panic. It's not the end of the world. So you're going to start with your paper, and you're going to start with your stencil and your palette knife, and you're simply going to pick up some of this paste and you're going to drag it through. Now, what I want you to try to achieve is unfinished edges. Okay, that is going to be the key. You do not want sharp, boxy edges when you're doing this. You want the paste to fade out a little bit at the bottom edges, and you want your edges along the outside to be jagged. You don't want them to be square. Now, you are working with a square stencil, and it definitely has square edges. So when you are placing your stencil, it's okay to move it around so that you don't get those harsh edges, okay? Now, I'm working on a much smaller surface, so it's easier for me to do that, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. And this type of stencil is not one to easily line up, but it is, I moved mine around a lot. Like if I put the stencil on here, there's no way I could cover that whole area without having to move it around. And there are areas where my bricks don't line up exactly, but no one is going to have their face right in your layout examining how your bricks line up. Plus, you're going to be putting things on top of it that will detract from that. So while you're creating it, you're going to be very aware of any imperfections that you create when you are doing this. But please don't get hung up on them. The areas on the calendar portion of the layout are much smaller, and you don't need to reposition your stencil, so you won't run into that issue there. But on the main part, you definitely will. But again, don't panic. You really want to try to embrace the process and definitely push through it. There might be a time, and this is really going to come up in April, because I'm really going to challenge you in April. And when you are creating something like this, where it's not really controlled, you're going to want to abandon ship, or you're going to be really nervous because you're working right on the background of your paper, and you don't have extra paper. So it's a little bit like you sweat a little bit, and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, but you just have to push through it. It's going to be fine. And it's going to be part of the growth that you're experiencing. Okay, so you're going to place your stencil over your paper. She's going to blow your minds. What does that mean, Shelby? Are you making fun of me? I blew my own mind. Like, really, I was so excited when I finished creating this page and the April one. I couldn't even believe I made it, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my God, it actually turned out. And yours is going to look great too. Okay, so when you open this, it's going to look gray, which is a little bit deceiving. I was kind of like, oh, wow. It kind of looks to me like the filler that you use when you're fixing nail holes on your walls. That's exactly what it looks like. Now, you can tint this texture paste. So you can add like watercolor re-inkers, that kind of thing to it, and create different colors. You don't want to add that right to the jar. You want to take a little bit of it and mix it up on something else. But today we're just going to use white, and then we're going to use ink to add color. Now, we're not adding a lot of color. We're keeping it pretty boring. but you totally could. You can use this technique on other things that you do. And it's not just restricted to layouts. I always tell my card maker friends that you can bring your card making supplies into your layouts, which is kind of what we're doing, because although texture paste can be used on layouts, it's kind of a back and forth kind of thing. But you can totally use this technique on the background of a card. And April's techniques you can definitely use on cards, and I'm definitely going to be doing it. So you're gonna see those things pop up. I got to stop talking about April though, because you guys are going to want like sneak peeks or something. And I'm not showing you. So just give this a little bit of a stir. Okay, so you get it nice and like creamy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick up some paste on the back of your palette knife. Okay, and it's okay if you don't grab lots, because you can go back and get more. No, Shelby, you cannot be bribed. Okay, and what you're going to do is don't start out on the edges. Start like in the middle of your stencil and just start dragging that paste through. And like I said, it's going to kind of look gray when you first start doing it. It's not going to look white. It dries white. And then you can kind of start moving around and branching out and adding more paste. And again, you want to try to get that irregular shape. You don't want to have that perfect boxy look. And it's okay if some areas are not completely filled in. Okay, you want to have that sporadic, jagged edge kind of feel. Now, you want to try and scrape as much as you can off of your stencil, unless you want a more rugged look. There's different kinds of brick out there. Okay, and then once you have enough paste on, you've covered the area that you want to have covered, this is when you're going to lift your stencil. So on the main part of the layout behind that title, you may have to lift it and move it, okay, and then reposition it. Just carefully lift it up. And I'm going to bring this in close so you can kind of see. Do you see how I have little pieces over here? It's okay. You want that. You see how it juts in here and it's kind of light and then it juts back out. It's not a complete boxy shape. Okay. Now, if I was going to go in now and create more, I would try to hover over top of the pattern I have there. And when I can see that it's kind of lined up, doesn't have to be perfect, you can lay it down again, but just don't put any pressure on the parts that overlap, okay? Try to even, I don't want to put it on my desk, but lay it down and like hold the one corner up maybe, or, you know, whatever. Just try not to disturb it too much. And then you can lay it down and add more texture paste until you're happy with the coverage. But you can see already that my paper is, oops, I'm just going to lift it up, is warping. As it dries, it will start to flatten out again. But don't stress about it. Even if it does stay a little bit warped, it will flatten out when you put your stuff into your album. What I was going to try is, once this dries, I was going to try to put it through my Mink because in April I did some stuff and my paper was a little bit warped and I put it through my Mink and it flattened it out perfectly. Now with the texture paste, I'm not exactly sure how that would happen or how it would react. I would definitely put it in a carrier sheet before putting it through, but I did not have time to experiment with that. So I don't know for sure how that will react. But anyways, I'm not worried about the warping at all. It's going to go down and it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to set that aside. Now, I'm just going to go and throw this in a little bit of water. Oh, I'm just sorry, I'm reading. No, you're upping the crafty game. And mine, because I'm doing the calendar too. Oh yeah, sorry, she's not making fun of me. Okay. And Corey says, that stencil's in my box, coming to me soon. Oh yes, you guys are going to love this stencil. So I did order lots and lots and lots. And then we put them up online. And before I did this launch party, people were already buying them for things unrelated to this layout. But I have another order going in for Honeybee and I will be getting more. And they also have a stencil very similar to this that is just a regular brick. It's not the jagged edges that this brick has. And it is equally as cool. So we'll get more of those as well. I'm just going to go and dump this in some water because I don't want the paste to dry. And then I'll be right back. It'll just be like 1 second. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I just don't want to have that paste dry on my stencil because it is one of my favorites. Okay, so while that's drying, I've actually got another sample here already done. It's a little bit smaller. This is already dried. So I did this at about 1 o'clock and I just let it sit out and it was dry probably within half an hour. But you really want to make sure that this is completely dry before you do anything else. So my suggestion is you're going to create the background of your layout and then you're going to let it dry overnight before you come back and start splattering and inking and adding all this stuff back on. Okay, you really want to give it time to dry. So if you're working on your layout in the evening, just leave it on your desk, go to bed, come back to it the next day, and then you'll have no trouble working with that. Okay, so once this is, so you can see it dries white. And it's really amazing. Now, I don't know if you've used Gina K texture paste before. I was pleasantly surprised at how nice this is to work with. It actually creates almost like a smooth, and I'll say kind of rubbery texture to it. But you can bend your paper and nothing cracks. It's very flexible. And it just feels so amazing. Like, I just love how it turns out. So to create the ink blending on it, it's just like ink blending anything else that you ink blend. You're going to get a blending brush of some kind. I'm just going to grab a sheet of paper here and brush off because I don't know what I used it for last. And some ink. And you're going to make sure you go in and start light because you don't know how dark the ink is going to go, and you don't want it to grab onto that texture paste and leave like dark patches. So just brush off on something and then very gently start going over the brick with your blending brush. And you can build up as much or as little color as you want. You can have the color concentrated more towards the middle and let it fade out to white. You can do it however you want. Now I'm going to go in pretty heavy just for this demo. I didn't go really heavy on my layout, but I want you to be able to see how you can define the brick if you really want to. Now I'm not going in super, super heavy, but you can see how you can now see that that brick color really coming out. So I'm just going to pull this up a little bit closer now so you can get a good look at how that brick really looks. Isn't it awesome? So that will become the backdrop for your title area and then those two sections on the layout. But you can see how it is an imperfect brick. I'm trying to get as close as I can so you can actually see how it is not perfectly square, which is really the appeal of this stencil. And like I said, Honeybee does have another one that is a much more defined brick, and I'm going to bring more of those in. We've had it in, but it's sold out. I didn't even get any. But I just love how fine featured this stencil is and how amazing it does look when it's on your layout. And so once you have that section inked up, then you can go ahead and add in the splattering if you want to do that. And you're going to be inking stenciling right over top of that patterned paper in this area here where it's folded up. So it's going to kind of come across both of those layers. And again, I am trying to give you as much detail as I can with the images, but you can kind of see how it overlaps there. But it does become seamless with all the stuff on top. It is quite effective. So I love how that turned out. Okay, so let me check my notes here. I showed the tearing. I talked about sanding edges. I showed the bricks. I did the numbers. We talked about QR codes, when the kits are available to pick up, add-ons. There, I covered it all. Does anyone have any questions that they want to have answered in the live? So I've created both of these little panels here. You can be sure that those are going to go on cards because I just think they're so awesome. Nobody has any questions? You're all good. Which stencil was that? So that is called Salvaged Brick, and it is from Honeybee. So it is in the shopping section of the March calendar add-ons, and then you'll also find it under the brand. I am sure we don't have enough anymore. If all of you calendar people have not picked it up yet, we're going to run out. Because like I said, we had ordered lots and lots anticipating this launch, but people just started shopping. So it's impossible to keep product in stock for very long in our store, which is a good problem to have, but it is a problem just the same. So I'm definitely ordering more, so don't panic about it. And if you don't want to invest in a new stencil, you can use any stencil you want to practice with this technique. as well. And I also, you may have texture paste at home, but I highly recommend the Gina K texture paste. It is very, very nice to work with. I definitely love it. And again, I don't have a lot of experience with texture paste, but I can only say good things about this one. So that's what I know. Okay, I am going to sign off. We are going to populate the kits and you will find them. Can you review how you do the small photos? Well, that is going to vary very much from person to person. I did recommend an app. Some people were having trouble with it. They said it wasn't free anymore, and it could be that I got it for free and now they charge for it. I don't know. And then we've got the Android and the iPhone thing. I can't look on my phone because I'm recording, but I think it's called Pic Collage. I think. I personally use my Epson software because I print my own photos at home. Basically, what you want to do is you want to find a collage, an app that you can collage your photos in that will give you 9 photos vertically on a 4x6 footprint. And then you want to save that, but you don't want to have any borders or anything. You want to save that, and that's what you want to print. And then you can cut those up, and then you do just have to trim them just a little bit to get them to fit. I like my photos to fit inside the box. I don't like them to go right up to the edge. I like that black line to be able to be defined. And then again, I have to play around with some of the photos to make them fit. So I basically just look for collages that will get me pretty close to the size I want. And then I can trim them down a little bit if I need to. So again, depending on, you know, what you're using or what phone you have and what you have available to you, the key is collaging. And you want no borders, and you want to be able to get it as close to the size as you can. And so for me, it's a 4x6 print, and I'm getting 9 photos, but you want them vertically. And then that way, so you're having problems getting them on the 4x6. Okay. So Tammy, maybe we can email back and forth, but maybe give me an idea of what program you're using, or send me an email, because I can send you some screenshots and things that I have that might be helpful. So it's probably just one little thing you're doing incorrectly, and that will get you to the right spot. But it's pretty easy to do, and I can try to walk you through that. All right, so I think that's everything. I think I covered it. Oh, I did not talk about this. This is the die that I use to make the little hearts. I just found it on my cart. This is called, what's it called? Something. It's called something. Oh, it's called Wonky Hearts from Tailored Expressions. And it's just a small little die that does a bunch of little hearts. And that's the ones that I cut out of black. And you'll see one is featured here. Whoops. One is featured here. It's kind of an outline one. And then I have a couple of little ones that I placed there. And that's all from this little die. And this little die is great for shaker cards and things like that too. Like I have all kinds of these little things in my stash. You can also use sequins, or I think last month we recommended those little clay hearts. I know Gina K has some black and white ones, so you could use something like that if you wanted as well. But otherwise, I think I talked about everything for the launch party. So anyways, I hope you have a ton of fun creating this month. I will never be sad if you email me pictures of your finished layouts. We always love to see what people do with their stuff and what they create. So we're always happy to receive an email with an attached photo that that shares what they've created, especially if it's a little bit different than what we did, just so that, you know, just to see what people do with the things that we inspire them with. Just to make a point here, this is actually drying quite nicely already. Like this stuff dries pretty fast. As long as you don't really goop it on, it dries quite quickly. So I wouldn't go in and add ink yet, but it's getting there. Anyways, ladies, have a wonderful evening. Happy shopping, and we will see you soon.